What should I watch? Oh, Death Note remake. Oh yeah, not bad. Let's do it. No, this is so bad. Okay, where am I up to? Oh god, I have so much left. Oh, but I've also spent so much time watching it. Oh, let's just continue. This is the sunk cost fallacy. Hey guys, welcome back to Dose of Joy. Today we're going to be discussing sunk costs, and I came across this term in Seth Godin's podcast, Akimbo, which I would highly recommend you listen to. And after listening to this, I just really wanted to make a video because it's so relevant, and the sooner we know about what it is, the better. Today we'll be focusing on what sunk costs are, why they occur, how they can affect our decision making, as well as how to overcome the challenges that it can bring. So, without further ado, let's begin. First of all, what are sunk costs? So when you Google sunk costs, comes up with a sunk cost is a cost that an entity has incurred and it can no longer be recovered. To translate this, it's basically a cost that we've made in the past. We spent it. And because we've spent it, it can't be recovered, refunded, etc. You can see that it's an economic or business term, so in this case the cost is usually referring to money. But holistically, this could expand to time, emotions, or energy invested in the past. So to make this easier to understand, I'm just going to describe to you guys some everyday examples of sunk costs. One that's very applicable to students is the attachment to past grades or degrees. So say you're in year 12 and you're deciding what course to do in uni next year. You end up deciding either science or biomed. With biomed, you put it down because you're semi-interested in medicine, plus it's got a bit of prestige, but you don't expect to get in because of its high score. But deep down you prefer science because it's broad and you can try subjects like computing or food science, and it can also lead to med. You complete your exams and you find out you actually got a 98 ATAR when you originally expected around 93. Suddenly, you're conflicted. You had your eyes set on science, but now you don't want to waste the hard work you put into getting that 98. The amount of stress, frustration, repeated days studying all seem to affect your choice. Now, by bringing in your emotional attachment to the past, you're now affecting a future decision that would have been easy to make. Here's another similar situation. In uni, you've completed 2 out of 4 years of your degree. You start to realize you don't really like what you're learning. Going to the lectures seems like hell, and you don't feel inspired or passionate at all. But then you think of how hard it was to get into your course. The mountain of exams you had to do even to get accepted into the degree, let alone the grueling 2 years you've already completed now. You think to yourself, well, I've already done 2 years of this degree, I've spent money on it, so even if I don't like it, I'm going to continue and finish this degree. Sunk costs can even apply to things like relationships. It might be that a person in a relationship knows that their relationship is going downhill. There have been red flags along the way, but this person stays because of the memories of the past and the emotional attachment to the positive times, as well as all the time and energy invested with that other person. I know it's not as simple as this, there's a lot of other contributing factors, but sunk costs really affect how your future decisions of whether to stay or leave play out. So the examples I just gave are pretty big life decisions, so this next one can be applied to everyone, I think. Say you accidentally double book accommodation for your trip. One that's $100 and the other one that's $80. When you booked the $80 one, you really liked it and you got it on sale. It's in a good location and the facilities are great. You really like the $100 one too, but just not as much as the $80. But people are more likely to choose the $100 one because they don't want to waste more money that they've already spent. Even though the $100 wouldn't give you as much future satisfaction, you'd still choose it because of the sunk cost, the money that you've spent already on the accommodation. You can see that all of these examples show that sunk costs affect our decision making. But that really shouldn't be the case because sunk costs were made in the past. They've been spent, so whatever our future decision is, it should not be affected by sunk costs. So if we go back to that accommodation example, you've spent $180 in total. So instead of looking into the past of how much each accommodation costs, we should be looking into the future to see which decision will make us happier. So I like to think of it like this. If you go with the $100 one, you're technically wasting that $100 because you could be enjoying that time in the $80 one much more. But in all of these decisions, our mentality is that we can't waste the past energy, time, or money
money invested into that particular thing. But mainly for the big life decisions like relationships or degrees, I really want to challenge us to think about the many more years we'll waste if we make decisions based on our attachment to the past rather than the waste of the past few years that we've dedicated to a thing. If we're 2 years into a degree that we really don't like, what's the point of sticking out the extra 2 years that we could be spending doing other things that we want to do or prefer to do? But before we continue, I just need to make this very clear. I'm not telling us to just quit or do this as your first resort. If you hit a bump in the road or something's not working out, I would only disregard sunk costs if I am more certain than uncertain that this thing isn't going to work out. If you've tried to find solutions to problems that you face and they keep coming up and nothing works, or if there's multiple red flags that keep popping up and you just ignore them because of your attachment to the past, then I suggest to potentially quit. So now here's just a list of why I think we care so much about sunk costs. Number 1, so much has been invested, whether time, money, energy, that doing anything else would be a complete waste of what we just did. Number 2, comfort, stability, or fear of the unknown. Because the thing is, if we continue with whatever we're doing right now that doesn't seem to benefit us in any way, at least we have the comfort of what we're going to do now and in the future. But if we decide to do something big like quit a degree, we're just not comfortable with the fact that we don't know what to do now. There's so much uncertainty. And number 3, well, I've already started or committed. We all know this is a huge excuse. I do it sometimes, I'm not perfect. But really this is just a story we tell ourselves because changing is just so much harder than staying as we are. Also, I personally think that we all have too much pride when it comes to quitting. There's a connotation that to quit, it means that you haven't succeeded, that you failed. But if quitting gives you a happier future that is more aligned to your values and who you are, I can't see it as a bad option at all. And finally, before we wrap up this video, I want to discuss how we can overcome sunk costs to make better decisions. So I actually thought of this one while I was in bed. Really proud of myself. It just like light bulb moment, and then I quickly just jotted it down. But the thing that helps us is the very thing that we consider at sunk costs, which is time. So my own examples that support this are: why do so many people who go on exchange, who travel or just leave their environment for a decent amount of time, why are they able to return back home and make decisions quite easily that are more aligned with who they are? Why are we able to think more clearly when we take a step back? I really think that we need time as well as physical or mental distance in order to lessen the severity of sunk costs. When we're surrounded by things that we're emotionally attached to, it's so hard to see past it. But if we take a step back, we sort of forget the emotional attachment we have for something or the investment of money, time, energy. And while time or distance might not completely revert the impact of sunk costs, at least it will give us a clearer mindset to make better decisions. Okay, so now this is the end of the video. That was a lot to get through, but I'm so passionate about this topic and it is so important. And as soon as I heard the podcast, I just thought, incredible, I gotta make a video of this. So I really hope this video helps you guys out, whether that's making big life decisions or small mini decisions, anything that will help you basically have a happier, more aligned to your values future. Okay, so that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!